Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It's your girl, BrittReacts, and today we are reacting to Billiam, aka Bill Burr. Young people don't want to work. Let's see what he has to say.
To cancel it out, and it allegedly resets your brain, or at least makes it not as loud. Of course, it's not approved over here yet. I don't know if it works. Who knows? Anyway, here we go. Work. Hey, Bill, huge fan. Can't wait for Old Dads. I've been telling everyone about it when the topic of new movies come up. Oh, yeah, I think it's good. I'm really, really proud of it. I own a restaurant that my grandparents started in the early 70s. We're always staffed with younger kids looking for jobs or adults looking for part-time work. We've been understaffed due to the last few years' events and are struggling to stay operational. We'll survive because it's all we have, and we'll make it in the long run. But finding people to work in our area has been very difficult. We pay almost double the server base, and our kitchen positions have had 2 times minimum wage since the 90s. I agree corporations are slimy and are probably feeling the backlash to their inhumanity. But aside from that, it's been clear that younger people are not eager to work. I just think that waiting tables to them is like churning butter.
Yeah.
When you can, I mean, like, it used to be if you're a good-looking chick, you become a waitress, you make money making tips. And it's like, well, why do I want to do that when I can just go on, like, Instagram and be like, oh, God, you like this dress? And, kind of stick your finger in your...
100%. Everything's fast. The fashion is fast. The food is fast. The success looks like it's fast. And that's what they want. I have 3 younger brothers. They are all Gen Zers. And this is not about them. But because of them, I feel like I am a little bit more connected to Gen Z than I would be normally, I guess. I don't know. And I mean, they're all about entrepreneurship. They're all about, starting their own thing and not working for a big corporation. They've seen what it's done to people. They are in the age of technology where they have access to everything. Everything is one finger press away. And they know, like, growing up, we didn't know, like, corporations would take advantage of us and work us to the bone and pay us under lower than what we should. Like, we didn't know those things, but now they have access to all of it. They're like, I'm going to get on Instagram and get on TikTok and do these dances and make some big money. You know what I mean? They're starting their own companies. They're selling clothes. They're like starting brands like in high school. You know what I mean? These kids have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I don't know if it's that they don't want to work as much as it's they don't want to work for people. They don't like the authority is what I think. And so they're choosing to do things their own way rather than go and have a boss and have to clock in and answer to people and have a schedule that they didn't create. And I do think some of them just don't want to work, but I think a lot of it is the method, the way that they're being told they have to work. They're like, get somebody else to do it.
Go on, like, Instagram and be like, oh, God, you like this dress? And, kind of stick your finger in your mouth a little bit.
What?
Whatever the fuck it is hot chicks do on the internet. I think that's what it is. It's not that they're not working. I mean, they obviously are working. How are they paying their rent? So I think that they're working. I just think old people like us don't really know what the new jobs are.
It's kind of like what I said.
Entertainment. I feel like they're like everybody else. They're always on their phone and they're always consuming content. So I imagine they're trying to get into that world because that's the world they enjoy. If I was a younger person, I would probably want to get involved in creating video games, make an app, get in shape, and I'll just be your fucking personal trainer through the internet. And then
a lot of that going on.
I think maybe like the combination of that, maybe, and like also they just sort of Postmate foods.
Right.
And
Uber Eats.
No one goes to like malls anymore. I don't know. I'm too fucking old to figure it out. But
That's it. I think they're finding ways to make money where they can make their own schedules. Uber Eats, DoorDash, all that is a good thing, right? You can make your own schedule. They don't have to answer to bosses and people that they don't want to answer to, right? Like while they go to school or while they're figuring it out. I just think Gen Z gives no nonsense. Like they're not tolerating the things that we grew up learning were tolerable. They're just not doing it anymore. They're not. They're not. I mean, not at all. When I was in high school, my first job, like we had to have work permits. If you were in high school and you were a student, you could only work a certain amount of time and your boss had to like sign off on like, I think it was like something like 14 to 16 hours a week you were allowed to work. So that never felt bad. In college, I was a shift manager at like a sandwich shop and I worked pretty rigorous hours. And I mean, it would be one of those things where the boss would be like, can you stay another shift? And it'd be like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like, you just did it. You wanted the money, you being paid like $7.25 an hour. These kids are not standing for that nowadays. They're like, my time is worth it. And I know it because you need me. You need me to come work there. And if you're not going to pay me well and the working conditions are going to be trash, we're not doing it. And I don't think that's such a bad thing. Like that they're taking the stance in that. Now, like, again, if these kids are just like they have a lack of motivation and work ethic, then that's a problem, which I think some of them do. I just think they're rebelling against the workforce. They don't want anything to do with it.
That is fascinating. I don't think that they don't want to work. I just think that they want a different job than the jobs that we had.
We're on the same
which
page,
is
Billiam.
Normal. Anyway, 10 years ago, we had teens and college kids always coming back to work for us. I speak with many of the other local businesses, and they all have the same problem. Part-time work is not sought after. I've heard from frustrated parents who are customers that their kids and their friends have sworn off part-time work. When we do hire, they are usually reprimanded for being on their phone instead of working and quit soon after. I think there are two worlds of people. There's two worlds of people that don't want to work. There's always been lazy people, but young people used to care about making money. I've had applicants scoff at the pay, which is higher than anything else that they could get anywhere else for part-time and no skills required. Well, obviously, I would think it wouldn't be if they're laughing at it. I would be fascinated to hear from somebody young to say what jobs do appeal to you. Anyways,
but listen, I think the gift and the curse that they have is they have access to see like all the people they aspire or idolize, right? These celebrities, these artists, all these people who have all this money and these cars and all these things, and they show it on Instagram, and it seems like it feels very obtainable. Where when we coming up, the closest thing we got to a celebrity was like a magazine. We didn't see them in everyday life. We didn't see that they live normal like us, as far as like cooking, cleaning, having kids. You know what I mean? For the most part, but they live in big houses and have amazing cars and all these things. And I think it has created this complex in these kids' head. Like, I deserve that too. I can have that too. And I'm not working for $15 an hour. And it's like, all your favorite artists had jobs. Cardi B had, well, we all know Cardi B will tell you how she rose to fame, but like everyone had a job at some point. And I think that's the gift and the curse of it. It's like they have the access and they feel it's tangible, which I think is great, but then the reality is skewed. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the reality of how those people got there. They think everything's overnight. It's literally fast, and that's not how it goes.
I'm sure the tide will turn someday, but it's unfortunate that younger people don't have the same culture of work ethic.
Yeah.
One new hire quit because he said we don't give him enough positive reinforcement after only 1 week.
Oh my God.
Please tell me that's a joke. I told this to my grandfather, whose brain seemed unable to compute. Thanks for the laugh. Happy holidays to you and your family. All right, look, I tried to stick up for young people now.
Yeah, that last one took me out. What? Enough positive reinforcement?
I really think that a lot of people can't handle being on the internet and having their face out there. And I think they're all like, acting like celebrities who used to, back in the day, you get your own TV show and then not everybody, but some people. I think it's kind of, maybe it's a symptom of social media or something like that.
Absolutely.
I do know, I tweeted out, I've seen it all after the Raiders thing. And then some kid wrote this joke, said, me when I've seen it all, talking about, what I've said. So, and I was sitting there trying to figure out the joke. I was like, I don't really get this joke. I know he's making fun of me. Is he saying that, what I said was stupid? But the thing that I couldn't get past was the me. Because I was just like, well, what does what I said have to do with you? And I kind of feel like that's the disease that I've seen in my business, where you watch people get shit, and then all of a sudden this thing happens with this, not everybody, but some people, I call it taking the ride. And then after a while, you just really can't hear or compute things unless it's about you.
I think in terms of what that kid said about not getting enough positive reinforcements, these kids these days have access to words and terms that we never knew. Like positive reinforcement at work, what? They're triggered by a lot of things, anxiety is a big thing, which I think a lot of, I think I dealt with anxiety growing up, but I didn't have a word for it. I just felt like I was always stressed out. I think there's such an emphasis now on wellness and self-care, that these up and coming adults almost take advantage of it, and everything's like, I didn't get enough positive reinforcement at work after my first week. And it's like, what does that even mean? What do you need a pat on the back for doing everything? It's your job description. You are doing your job. Lord.
I don't know. I don't think everybody is like that. And I think there are a lot of young people working out there.
I agree.
But I know it hasn't been healthy for me to be on the phone as much as I'm on the phone.
I agree.
And also parents are definitely guilty of using the tablets and shit, reward and punishment. I'll tell you, my daughter doesn't give a fuck about Santa Claus, but if you go to take that tablet away, it is a Meryl Streep performance. And I've had to talk to her about it, going look how upset you're getting. And what's amazing is the second if I go to give it back to her, all the tears immediately stop. So it's just a performance.
Yeah.
So I just have to remind myself of that. It's like, no, you're going to hang out with me. We're going to talk. We're going to connect. You're going to color. You're going to draw. You're going to do stuff that stimulates your brain instead of staring at this thing. I don't have a problem with her looking at it, because she's going to go into a world of all computers and she needs to be familiar with how to interact with them. But definitely too much of it is not a good thing. And then I also feel like it's a very everybody's just up their own ass about themselves. My thing that I'm socially most fascinated with right now is the word woke, and how that word literally means something different to every single person that uses it, because everybody just internalized it for themselves. I find it.
I don't disagree. Regarding social media, I found not a long time ago, but a little bit ago, that I had to curb how much social media I was digesting, and same for my daughter. She's only allowed to have her devices on the weekend or school holidays. She can't have it during the school week unless she's calling her dad or something. I actually have two phones. I have my phone that only really has social media apps on it, and then I have my regular phone with everything else. There's no social media apps on it, and I only turn it on when I need to actually post something on social media. This way I'm not just clicking it and scrolling, because that's it's like a robotic thing. You don't even realize you're doing it. And then I also put limits on my social media stuff, so once I've reached my limit for the day, it'll pop up on my phone and tell me. And I have the thing that tells you spent so and so hours on your phone this week, just so I can always have a reminder of how many hours I'm actually putting into that thing, and what is it giving me back? Zip zero, stingy with De Niro. And it's crazy to have to go through all of those things just to control myself, but that's how addicting social media is. Now imagine being a child and how impressionable your brains are. A child, and I'm not talking just like toddlers, I'm talking about these kids in college. They're kids. They're not all the way formed yet mentally. You know what I mean? And this is their world. This is everything to them. It's crazy.
Fascinating that white liberals took the word from black people and then put it on themselves and made it like a compliment of what a great white person they were. And then they started talking down to white people in red states. So now to them, like, woke culture is some annoying Hollywood white douche telling them that they're not living their life correctly. And all of the stuff that it was supposed to be about, basically not white people, is all out the window. And it's just white people yelling at each other. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. When somebody says
like
that to me,
he's sick.
like, I'm just like, all right. Nah, man, I had to get out of there because all that woke shit. And I'm like, I mean, I live in L.A., if you didn't know that, right? It's not like you walk down the street and people just yelling that shit when you, I mean, it's a fucking great place to live. I will tell you that. It is a fucking great place to live. The weather is amazing and all of that type of stuff. I find more you run into that woke shit when you're like pitching shows and stuff like that. But it's not like you walk down the street and somebody's yelling at you, hey, you walking down the street, have you thought about a transgendered person today? Like, that's not like, it's just,
It's not like that, Bill. That's not how it is.
It's fucking weird, though. I don't know. I'm probably guilty of it, too, at some point, at some level or whatever. You know what it is? What I realize? I fucking hate everybody.
There it is.
I hate both sides.
There it is.
I just don't fucking like, as far as like liberals and conservatives, I fucking can't stand them. I don't know. Like this, can you believe we're going to have to sit through another fucking presidential election? You know? Can they just fucking, and then Republicans just pick your fucking guy, and then that's it. Then everybody shut the fuck up, and we'll all vote 9 months later. Stop with the stupid debate. We already know who we're voting for. Why are they dragging it out? For money, right? For money. The election goes into the fucking prevent defense.
Billiam does it again. I don't disagree. I think I was very much so on the same page with him with a lot of things. I enjoy his podcast so much because it gives me a chance to think. I love hearing him kind of think through the topic. Yeah, I'll pray for these kids out here. My daughter's generation, I'm so focused on making sure she's a good human being because what she's coming into, Lord bless it. That would be a good idea though, if the part, like the fact that there are sides is where all the issue is. If there were no sides, we wouldn't have so much headbutting, I feel like. But if the parties just picked who they wanted and then we got to pick from that, it would make life a lot easier. A lot less voting lines to stand in. Oh, Billiam, how I love thee. All right, y'all. Go have the day you deserve. Peace.